will start my operations here and pull the rebels apart piece by piece. They'll be the architects of their own destruction.
Hello and welcome to Star Wars Bits. Today I'm going to begin a two-part series on the history of Grand Admiral Thrawn in canon. Today I'm going to discuss his early years up to the time he became Grand Admiral in the Imperial Navy. He attended an academy of Rentor and became a merit adoptive of the Myth family after attracting the attention of the family's patriarch. Instead of being called Varon, he gained a new name, Myth Ra Nuru, Thrawn. He rose to the ranks and became well liked from some of his colleagues in the Chiss ascendancy, but was disliked by politicians and members of the military. After his recruitment into the Myth family, Thrawn was transferred to the Thararim Academy in Naporur, the planet from where much of the Chiss expansionary defense fleet was commanded rather than Chasilla. Prior to his journey from Rentor to Naporur aboard the Tomra, Thrawn had never flown in space. Thrawn wanted to learn the map and the feel of the ship, and ventured to a restricted area aboard the Tomra's bridge. There he met a sad 13-year-old girl named Al-Liatov. Unknown to Thrawn, Al-Liatov was a Skywalker navigator, nearing the end of her powers of third sight. The young girl was charged with navigating the Tomra to Naporur as a test of her retention of third sight, and required to tell any personnel not cleared to know of the existence of the Chiss navigators that she was the captain's daughter. Journeys within the Ascendancy were often used to test aging Skywalkers because travel within the Ascendancy was much safer than travel within the chaos at large. And if a navigator failed and steered their ship in the wrong direction, the helm officer could easily and safely correct their course. Aliastov was distraught at her failure to navigate to Naporur, but Thrawn comforted the young girl, telling her that a captain's daughter would have many possible career paths. Thrawn inspired her so deeply that she sought to be rematched to his Myth family after retiring from the Skywalker Corps. Years later, Aliastov had become a merit adoptive of the Myth, now named Myth Aliastov Thalas, and sought to travel with Thrawn just to see him again. As a student at Thararim Academy, Thrawn constantly scored among the top of his class. Eventually, Thrawn was accused of cheating on a combat simulation exam procured by senior cadet Irizarialani Ziara. Thrawn scored much higher on that exam than anyone in the history of the Thararim Academy, leading to the allegations. In reality, Thrawn was innocent, having invented a stealth maneuver during the simulation, which led to his exceptionally high score. However, the simulation could not be repeated with the same parameters, so Thrawn could not establish his innocence. Resigned to a fate of expulsion from the Academy, Thrawn was given a chance by Ziara, who called in General Bakif to intervene on Thrawn's behalf. Bakif proposed that if Thrawn would not establish his innocence through a simulation, a combat exercise with the same parameters should suffice. Indeed, Thrawn successfully executed his evasive maneuver in the ensuing exercise, establishing his innocence and displayed his strategic talents. Thrawn worked closely with Anakin Skywalker and his wife Padmé Amidala during the Clone Wars, sometime after Ahsoka Tano left the Jedi Order. Thrawn continued his exploration of the Outer Rim until sometime after the rise of the Galactic Empire he discovered a colony of refugees, Neimoidians. The colonists warned him of the tyranny of the Empire and pleaded with Thrawn to bring the full force of the Chiss ascendancy against the Empire on Coruscant. Furthermore, they promised to help with the attack if it meant the revival of the Galactic Empire, the Galactic Republic. Thrawn refused their offer, but returned to the Chiss, intrigued. After his encounter with the Neimoidians, Thrawn returned to the Chiss ascendancy seeking counsel, growing increasingly worried about the threat in the unknown regions. The ascendancy ruled that the time had come to judge whether or not the Empire would be a suitable ally. Thrawn was given his mission. He would infiltrate the Empire in order to either make it an ally or weaken enough that it became easy prey for the threat, thereby shifting focus away from the ascendancy. In order to carry out this mission, Thrawn proceeded to fake his exile. With the help of the ascendancy and aristocrat, Thrawn chose a planet in wild space and set up a hut designed to look as though Thrawn had been living in it for years. When he left the ascendancy, there were stirrings of political conflict, though Thrawn assumed the aristocrats would settle their differences as they had many times before. After several attempts and a few standard months spent on the planet, Thrawn finally managed to gain the attention of the Empire. Thrawn was brought before Park and Barriss and Vanto. Using Vanto as a translator, Park asked whether Thrawn spoke Basic or Sci-Bisti, to which Thrawn replied that he knew a fair bit of Basic, but was far more comfortable with Sci-Bisti. Vanto served as Thrawn's translator for the remainder of the conversation as he told the Imperials of his exile and how he had crashed the V-Wings, attacked a camp unseen, and infiltrated the strike fast. The conversation impressed Park to the point that he decided to present Thrawn to Emperor Palpatine himself. For the rest of his passage to Coruscant, aboard the Strikefast, Thrawn spent his time in the company of Vanto. In addition to helping Thrawn with his Basic, Vanto told him the legend of the Chiss that he had heard growing up on Lysatra. Thrawn was amused by the legends, finding them interesting and informative, but at times false or over-exaggerated. The two also discussed the Empire, particularly the Empire's social hierarchy and the prejudices against aliens and those not from the core. Upon debarking from the shuttle, Thrawn and the Imperials were guided by two of Palpatine's personal royal guardsmen to the throne room. Once they had arrived before the Emperor, Park presented Thrawn as a gift to him. Thrawn, however, offered himself as not a gift, but a resource. He informed Palpatine that the Ascendancy had discovered a mysterious threat in the unknown regions, offering his information on the threat in exchange of the Empire's help, in hope of convincing Palpatine that he was to be trusted. Thrawn offered the name of Skywalker as someone who could vouch for him, believing Skywalker to be a servant to the Emperor. The Emperor informed Thrawn that Skywalker had died at the end of the Clone Wars, but also that Skywalker had spoken highly of him before he had died. Accepting Thrawn's offer for information on the unknown regions, the Emperor offered something else in return, a role in the Imperial Navy. Thrawn accepted on the condition that he was allowed to keep Vanto as his translator. Wishing to discuss the threat in the unknown regions further, Palpatine guided Thrawn to the privacy of his throne room's interior garden. Thrawn was impressed by the artistry of the garden, believing it to be indicative of power, subtlety, and depth of thought. Once within the garden, Thrawn and Palpatine discussed Palpatine's personal interest in the mysteries of the unknown regions. Palpatine decided that Thrawn did not need a translator, but agreed to give him Vanto anyway. Thrawn grew quickly through the ranks of the Imperial Navy, being made the rank of Grand Admiral after the Battle of Baton. Arriving on Coruscant, Thrawn made his way once more to the Emperor's throne room. In the throne room, Palpatine presented Thrawn with a new uniform, a white one with gold shoulder bars and a silver collar insignia along with the rank insignia plaque indicating his promotion to Grand Admiral. Before he would take the promotion from the Emperor, however, Thrawn demanded to know about the Death Star. Thrawn explained that his concerns with the Death Star were twofold. He feared that Palpatine might use it against the Chiss, and believed that Palpatine was diverting too many resources that would be better served elsewhere into a single military project. Palpatine assured Thrawn that he had no plans to use the Death Star on the Chiss, mentioning that he had noticed that Thrawn had left the locations of Chiss worlds and bases off his maps of the unknown regions. The Emperor informed Thrawn that he did not begrudge the Admiral for seeking to protecting his people by leaving their locations off the map he provided. Additionally, he expressed complete confidence in the Death Star's ability to suppress all opposition, making it worth the cost. This said, Palpatine offered the Grand Admiral's rank plaque again. This time, Thrawn accepted. As he prepared to begin the campaign against the rebels of Phoenix Squadron, Thrawn decided it was finally time for he and Vanto to part ways. Pleased with the progress Vanto had made in the areas of tactics, leadership, and strategy, Thrawn believed that Vanto would be a perfect candidate for the Chiss Ascendancy's army. Gifting Vanto his journal, Thrawn directed Vanto to a set of coordinates in the unknown regions. These coordinates would bring Vanto to Admiral Aralani, to the Chiss Expansionary Defense Fleet, to whom he came with greetings from Thrawn. Freshly promoted and having given Vanto the job he believed that Vanto deserved, Thrawn set off to combat Phoenix Squadron and the rebel cells of Lothal. Annoyed by the recent rebel activity going on at Lothal, Governor Price approaches Grand Moff Tarkin and requests for the assistance from someone who sees a bigger picture about bringing about the downfall of the rebels, and requests for the 7th Fleet led by Grand Admiral Thrawn. While some officers, such as Constantine, believed that these ships were the rebel fleet, Thrawn and Price actually both believed that this group of rebels were the key for the Empire to destroy the rebellion before it began. Price revealed Thrawn just didn't want to concern himself with just Phoenix Squadron, but the Rebel Alliance as a whole, starting with the Rebel Cell. Thrawn moved his plans to capture rebels to Hera Syndulla's homeworld Ryloth, where he helped the captain in command, Slavin, on how to outsmart Kham Syndulla and the Rylothian resistance. During his visit to Syndulla's house, he had a battalion of stormtroopers move up to the Syndulla building. Slavin saw the new tactics unnecessary, believing the battle was nowhere near here, but Thrawn assured that the battle was in that very building. They came across Twi'lek Hera Syndulla trying to escape with her companion Ezra Bridger, until she was brought back to her father's office while posing as a refugee. However, Thrawn was able to tell who Hera was, while Ezra was a scout trooper in disguise. He stunned Ezra and had both rebels locked away. Taking the Kalakori as a trophy, Thrawn acknowledged his respect for Hera and left Slavin to deal with the rebel prisoners, seeing how the rebels would react to rescuing one of their own. After witnessing enough, he allowed the rebels to escape. During a plot to lure Yun Sato out of hiding, he had Imperial forces attack his homeworld of Maikapo. He sent Admiral Constantine to stop the rebels from fleeing their rebel sympathizers in one ship after learning about Iron Squadron. His plan worked and Thrawn arrived on Maikapo after being contacted by Constantine, where he had seen his plan to get Commander Sato out of hiding. Welcoming the commander's return, Thrawn and Sato swore to meet again before the rebels and Iron Squadron made it to hyperspace. Grand Admiral contacted Constantine, who had called for assistance but covered up his excuses by changing it to report that the rebels escaped. However, Thrawn could see through Constantine's bluff and easily surmised the rebels didn't just evade capture, but with their sympathizers as well. Following the insurgency of Maikapo, Thrawn returned to the TIE Defender factory on Lothal. During his visit, he killed Morad Sumar without knowing he was allied with the rebels through a demonstration of a speeder bike that they had rigged. Capturing the rebels was imperative to Thrawn, who wanted to make sure that his TIE Defender project was not compromised, which is why he made sure that Section A2 was heavily guarded and those without the proper clearance to be killed on sight. Thrawn studied his enemy's art after summoning Lysat and Kallus to his office, including holographic displays of the Spectres, Sabine's art, and a Jedi Temple Guard's helmet, and showed Lysat and Kallus Sabine's starboard painting. While Lysat was dismissive of the artwork, Kallus was able to tell that the graffiti was Phoenix Squadron's symbol. Remembering the Spectre he had encountered on Ryloth, he could speculate that the Ghost crew were connected to Lothal, based on Lysat's report that 2 workers went missing after Grand Admiral Thrawn's speech. He was able to tell that the rebels have infiltrated his Imperial factory, Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus, and their droid Chopper. However, Ezra, Kanan, and Chopper escaped with the help of Kallus and attempted to escape on an AT-AT walkers until Thrawn told the other droids to fire at the ones controlled by rebels. However, they escaped when Ryder Azadi and Merida Sumar. At the end, as Thrawn spoke with Kallus and Price and dismissed Lysat, Thrawn was able to tell that there was a mole in the Empire. Governor Price proclaimed that they must find the traitor. However, Thrawn told her to remain patient when she asked about questioning all Imperial personnel and that they would set a trap for the rebel spy. Thrawn planned to find out where the rebels were located and had EXD infiltrator droids deployed to corners of the galaxy. One found its way to Chopper Base on Attalon, but it was defeated by Zeb Orrelius, Chopper, and AP-5. Following the destruction of the Star Destroyer, Thrawn met with Kallus, who reported with the Grand Admiral how he suspected the rebels were able to foil Thrawn's plans with the infiltrator droids. However, the Grand Admiral remained in high spirits. Kallus was surprised by his superior's response. Thrawn revealed that the incident greatly narrowed down the planets from 1,000 planets to 94. Thrawn proclaimed that the war would be theirs, as Kallus was left to worry his allies would be discovered. Thrawn returns from Coruscant, ruining Ezra and his friends' plan in liberating Lothal from the Galactic Empire. He is contacted by Ezra, who confidently tells Thrawn that he and the rebels have taken the Imperial Dome prisoner. However, Thrawn is revealed to be one step ahead of them, and instead will only accept the young Jedi's surrender. When Ezra refuses, Thrawn orders a planetary bombardment and had sent Ruch,
is to cause the rebels' shield generator to malfunction. Unwilling to see his people suffer, Ezra is coerced into giving into Thrawn's demands. The Grand Admiral warns the young commander to come alone and not to attempt anything heroic, or he would continue the bombardment of the city, unaware of Ezra's ultimate plan to save his homeworld. When Ezra arrived on the Chimera, as promised, Thrawn had the captive Jedi brought into his office and began mocking him for what he stood for, even following his Jedi training. His taunts only aggravated Ezra, who was appalled by Thrawn's art collection, including one of Sabine's works of art. The Grand Admiral revealed that he was not destroying Lothal completely, even keeping several artwork he collected over the years. Ezra angrily confronted Thrawn, reprimanding him of taking things that did not belong to him, and telling Thrawn he didn't deserve the artwork in his possession or Lothal. The Grand Admiral refuted that power was what people should truly keep, and told Ezra that the Jedi would not teach him that, instead he would take him to someone who would. He brought Ezra before a hologram of the Emperor, who used his public image when conversing with Ezra. Palpatine dismissed Thrawn, who left Ezra with the Emperor, and ordered his forces to resume the city bombardment. During the liberation of Lothal, Ruch was killed by Garazeb Aurelius after throwing him on the destroyed power generator. When Thrawn attempted to contact his bodyguard, Zeb answered instead and informed him of the Nugri's death. Despite Thrawn being assured of victory, he was suddenly confronted by Ezra and was genuinely surprised to see the boy manage to escape capture. Though he only managed to wound the human with his blaster, Ezra used his connection with the Purrgil, who wrapped their tentacles around Thrawn, who was utterly horrified as the creatures disappeared into hyperspace, taking Ezra and Thrawn into parts unknown. That's it for Grand Admiral Thrawn. If you like this video, please click like, share and subscribe to my channel, and also click on the notification bell in order to be notified of upcoming videos. Until the next time, may the Force be with you.